Okay, this is Chris again. Welcome to lesson 3 of our 5-day challenge. Well done for making it this far. You're nearly halfway through, and well done to all of the people who have completed lesson 1 and lesson 2's challenges. Okay, so what are we doing in this 5-day challenge? So day 1, we looked at strategy and structure. Day 2, we looked at idea generation and how to analyze a question and come up with good ideas. Day 3, today, we're going to look at how to write an introduction. And then tomorrow, main body paragraphs. And the last day, we're going to finish off by completing our essay with a conclusion. So today, specifically, we're going to look at what is an introduction, what are the elements of a good introduction, how to write an introduction, and we're also going to look at how to do the task. So remember, 5 different essay questions. We are focusing only on opinion essays in this 5-day challenge. And the introductions are unique for each of the 5 different types of questions. So the things you learn in this lesson, do not apply them to the other 4. Just apply them to opinion essays. Okay, so what is an introduction? So it tells the reader what to expect. Always think of the reader. So basically what the introduction does is it makes the reader's job easier. Okay, so if you just immediately started into the main body, the reader would be like, oh, okay, so what is this about, and what is this guy's opinion, or what does this girl think about this? I don't really know. They would be a little bit lost, all right? So basically, imagine you are telling a story to someone, all right? So you wouldn't immediately jump into the details of the story. You would introduce the story, give a little bit of background information to make it easier to the person who's listening to you. Helps the reader follow the rest of your essay. Again, always think of the reader. So it makes your main body and your conclusion more understandable. Okay, so always think about the reader. One thing that I see a lot is students do not think about the reason why they write an essay. The reason why you write an essay is to communicate your message to another person. So the whole point of writing an essay is to clearly communicate. If you're not thinking about the reader, then you're not writing a clear essay. So it helps you get your thoughts in order also. So think of it as a mini plan. It will help you write a better essay. So think about your introduction as a tool that will allow you to write a better essay. So if you include, you paraphrase the question, and you include your thesis, your ideas, and you outline your main ideas and things like that, it makes the rest of your essay flow, and it makes everything much easier to write. So think about it as like a mini plan. So it's very important now to look at what an introduction is not, okay? So there's some things you should never do in your introduction, okay? So it's not a chance to show the examiner how amazing your language is, all right? It is not a chance to show off and to memorize some amazing vocabulary or amazing phrases. The examiners are not stupid, all right? They know what you're doing, all right? So please don't do this in your introduction. It's not a chance to hook the reader, all right? You do not need to write a hook. The examiner is getting paid to read your essay. You do not need to hook them in. And it's not a chance for you to use memorized phrases, all right? So I'm mentioning this again because it's so crucial that you do not memorize big chunks of language, put them into your introduction and think that you are being impressive. You are not impressing anyone, least of all the examiner. So there's 3 elements to an opinion introduction. First, paraphrase the question. Okay, so you're going to get a question statement. First, you need to paraphrase that. Paraphrasing, we're going to look at that in this lesson in more detail. You need to clearly state your opinion. So the question's asking you, do you agree or disagree? It's a very, very good idea to clearly state your opinion in the introduction. And you should outline your main ideas. Now, this one is not absolutely crucial. You're not going to lose marks if you don't do this. However, I think it is a very, very useful thing to do because it allows you to make it clear to the reader what your main ideas are, making it easier for them to understand, and it also is like a little mini plan. So it makes your essay more cohesive, more coherent, because you're going to put those main ideas into the rest of your essay. So let's look at each of these three main elements in more detail. So paraphrasing, basically state the same ideas but using different words. Okay, so you're not going to copy the words, but you're going to copy the ideas. All right, so you're going to state the exact same thing but using different words. And we can do this by using synonyms. So synonyms are words that mean the same thing but two different words, like man and male, female, woman. All right, means exactly the same thing but different words. Another way we can paraphrase is by changing the structure of the sentence. So we can change the clauses around. We can, clause number 1 becomes clause number 2, clause number 2 becomes clause number 1, or we can use synonyms and change the structure around. We can do both things. All right, so you can do either of these or do both. Most people do both. So synonyms, be very, very careful with synonyms. Your synonyms must match and make sense. Just because they're synonyms does not mean you can automatically use them, all right? So what I see many people doing is they will Google a word. So they'll Google the word car and put synonym beside the word car in a Google search. And whatever Google tells them, they will use. You need to be a bit smarter than that. Okay, just because two words are synonyms does not mean that they are close synonyms or that it's appropriate to use it within the context that you're using it. So another thing that I see is, people doing this. So they will look up rich and they'll look it up in a thesaurus and they'll see that a synonym of rich is decadent. And they will look at country, they'll look at that in a thesaurus, or they'll Google it and they'll see a synonym of country is kingdom. So they'll, instead of rich country, they'll put decadent kingdom and they'll think, oh, this is really amazing. I'm going to really impress everybody and get a band 9. You're not. All right. It is totally inappropriate to use kingdom instead of country. All right. Kingdom and country are kind of synonyms, but in the context, most contexts, they're not appropriate to use. Rich and decadent, they mean slightly different things, okay? And decadent kingdom, you wouldn't really use those two words together. So be very, very, very careful with synonyms, all right? Wealthy nation, all right? Rich, wealthy, synonyms. Close synonyms, appropriate to use them. Country, nation, close synonyms, appropriate to use them. And wealthy nation, they collocate together, they go well together. So if you have a choice between using something like decadent kingdom, which might sound very impressive, but actually it's the opposite of impressive, you're showing the examiner that you don't really have a high level of vocabulary by using words like that. It's much better to use something like wealthy nation for this example because it is correct. All right, it is better to be correct than it is to be fancy. So changing the structure, be very careful that your new sentence makes sense grammatically. All right, so when you're changing the structure around, make sure that the words are all in order, that the grammar is all correct. So many developed nations have opened their doors to refugees recently. So some people would say, recently refugees go to developed nations who open their doors. All right, so what they've done is they've flipped the structure around, but they haven't really paid attention to the grammar. So instead, we could use something like, recently refugees have been taken in by many developed nations. Okay, so the first one, not correct because the grammar is not correct. Second one, correct because the grammar is correct. So you can change the structure around like we've done here. You can change the synonyms around like we did in the one before, or you can combine both. So synonyms and changing structure. You can combine these two techniques to paraphrase effectively. Many developed nations have opened their doors to refugees recently. In recent years, refugees have been taken in by many countries in the developed world. Okay, so one thing that I want to highlight here, I put it in bold, are these two words. Okay, you'll notice that I did not change these two words. All right, so one big mistake that I see students making is they have been told by poor IELTS teachers that misunderstand what paraphrasing actually is, and they tell students you can never repeat a word. Okay, so the general rule is you should vary your language as much as possible. So if you can think of another way to express refugees, change it, all right? But if you have the choice between repeating a word and using a word or a phrase that just is wrong, or sitting there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes trying to think of how to change one word, just repeat the word, all right? If there are one or two words that you repeat, that's absolutely fine. For some words, like refugees, there's just no other way to express it, or no other way that most students know how to express it. So instead of worrying about it or making a big mistake, or spending 10 minutes trying to think of an alternative, just repeat the word. Okay? It is not the end of the world. You're not going to automatically fail your test because you repeat one word. Okay? It is one word out of 250, 300 words. You are judged on your whole test. All right? Not on one word. So the other thing you need to do once you've paraphrased is you need to state your opinion. So this essay agrees with this statement because, or this essay disagrees with this statement because. There are many different ways you can give your opinion, but get out of your own way and learn one well, all right? So there are 100 different ways that you could write this. You could say, I agree, I disagree, or it is agreed, or something like that. There's so many different ways. You are only going to write your opinion in the IELTS test once, all right? So learn one way to do it and just stick with that, all right? This is a very, very easy way to do it. Just learn this, and that's all you'll have to do, okay? Please don't email me and say, like, can I use this? Can I use that? I get so many emails every day about that. Sure, do it whatever way you want. As long as it is grammatically correct, it makes sense, and it states your opinion, that's all you need to do. Then we need to outline our main ideas. And by the way, I went through that very, very quickly because that's how easy it is, all right? This essay agrees, this essay disagrees. Very, very simple. Then we need to outline our main ideas. As I said, this is not essential, but I would really strongly suggest that you do this. This essay agrees with this statement because X and Y, okay? X is your first main idea. Y is your second main idea. This essay disagrees with this statement because X and Y. X is your first main idea. Y is your second main idea. So there's two different ways you can do it. All right, I agree. Here's the reasons. I disagree. Here's the reasons. Very, very simple, very straightforward, very effective. This is not mandatory, but it really helps. All right, I'm not going to explain it again, but people get really upset about this. Like, my teacher told me I didn't have to do that. You don't, all right, but I strongly recommend it. So, putting it all together, developed nations should take more refugees from poorer countries. It is argued that wealthy countries should accept more refugees from developing states. This essay agrees with this statement because they have a moral obligation to do so, and they can afford to help with those in need. Okay, so here is the paraphrase. Here, oh, sorry. These computer markers are really inaccurate. Okay, here is your thesis statement, your opinion, and here are your two main ideas, your outline of your main ideas. So it is very, very, very simple. You just combine those three elements and you have paraphrased the question, you've demonstrated to the examiner that you can do that. Your opinion is very, very clear and you've outlined your main ideas. Very simple, but again, very, very effective. Okay, so your turn. Parents of obese children should be punished for making their children fat. Do you agree or disagree? Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to take this question and I want you to write an introduction. Okay, so I want you to paraphrase this. I want you to pick agree or disagree. Think of two reasons. If you agree, think of two reasons. If you disagree, think of two reasons. And I want you to put it all in the introduction. So paraphrase your opinion, and outline your main ideas. 2 sentences, okay? And put it in the comments below this video. Again, very, very simple, but take your time, all right? So under exam conditions, you're going to be doing this in 5 minutes, all right? If it takes you 10 minutes, 15 minutes to really think about it, check everything, do that. Take your time when you're first learning how to do something. Okay, so thank you. Well done. You're more than halfway through now. And thank you for everybody for doing the challenges. And if you need anything, feel free to send me an email, chris@ieltsadvantage.com. So I'll see you for the next lesson, lesson 4, where we'll be doing probably the most important thing, which is our main body paragraphs. See you then. Bye-bye.